Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Heart of Christ Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Shaun Robert Grant. Happy Thursday. Is it Thursday or Wednesday? Thursday. Got kind of mixed up on these days here. But anyway, happy whatever day it is. No, I know it's Thursday. I'm just teasing you. Hope you are fabulous, absolutely fabulous, and feeling truly wonderful as always, because you know what? Why feel any other way, right? Um, I've got into a lot of visualization, which is why yesterday's message was on imagination. And I tell you, it brings such a childlike essence to life when you can basically picture all that you choose to be in this life. And it really comes down to choosing, because God gave us the power to imagine. God gave us the power to basically say, okay, this is what we feel we want that's in our hearts. Can you bring it? All right. And so in thinking of that, as I was laying in bed this morning, it made me move towards today's message. Okay. And today's message is really, really simple, but so powerful. And I've read countless things on this, and I'm just like, why is it people like they don't take this more seriously than they actually do? And so I'm like, you know what? Not half, but I want to do a message on the simple prayer and power of thank you, right? How simplistic is that? How much do we overlook the power of thank you as a prayer, as a respondence, or response? How often do we overlook that, not knowing, how much it can mean to any and everyone, right? I've trained myself to say thank you anytime somebody does something for me, anytime God does something for me, anytime God uses someone as a channel to add to more good in my life. Well, not necessarily more good, but allowing my good to expand is a better way to put that. And so when we really understand the truth and the power, I always say power because power is just like it has everything it needs to be, everything it chooses to be. And I'm telling you, gratitude is one of those things. And every year during Thanksgiving, I'm like, you know what? This is something that needs to happen every single day of our lives, right? There is no question that thank you should be said a multitude of times throughout the day, even if it's just you sitting here saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, right? So I just feel that it's important for us to dive into that today and really give you an idea of what is right there in the midst of your existence. Okay. So I'm excited and happy to do that. It took me 4 minutes to get to where I wanted to go, but let's get into it. So I've outlined some PowerPoints here just to kind of help you understand how thank you can help you in your life, but more importantly, how it's helped me in my life. And so I actually want to start with a story as we go into the first bullet point. Thank you sets the tone for a joyful life. So growing up in New Orleans, there were very challenging times, very, very challenging. And I'm saying challenging because that's, what I choose to call it now. Before I would call it straight up hell. But now being connected to the divine essence in me, understanding that those experiences were only moving me closer to the authentic version of who I am today. And so, but when you're going through this stuff, when you're really in the thick of it, and you're it's looking like all four walls around you are just closing in, and there's absolutely no way out and no way for you to be who you feel you need to be. Because in my heart, I always knew who I needed to be. But from a consciousness standpoint, I just didn't always know how to get there. Right. It was almost like, in a perfect example, and I'll jump right back to where I was going with this, wanting to leave Louisiana to go to California, but it taking me 5 years to actually make that move. Right? It's almost like hopping in your car. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to LA. And then you realize you don't have any gas. Right? That's how a lot of times it felt, being, most importantly, as I got older. But getting back to what I was saying, there were really, really tough things to encounter and to endure and to go through. And just at times it seemed so hopeless. And once it got to that place, I remember I was sitting on, if you know Lake Pontchartrain, I was sitting on the UNO, the lakefront, because that was like my prayer spot. And I was just in my car, and I used to go there and I used to pray. And after I would pray, I would just kind of stop and sit and just kind of see what Spirit wanted to convey to me. And all of a sudden, one day I just heard, "Thank you." And I'm like, "What? What's that?" It says, "Thank you." And not in the sense of somebody saying, "I'm telling you to say thank you." It just was revealed to me, be thankful. And I started doing that. And at first I was just like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you," which is good. But then as I became more privy to things like Buddhism and meditation but really strong, deep meditation, I began to connect to the deepest aspect of me. And then I would say thank you. And what happened from there, right, was all of a sudden the inner life that was causing so much turmoil, because it was all me. Like when you can really get to that place, I don't have this hair on my head anymore. So my head just like adjusts as I move my eyebrow. So I'm like adjusting my head the whole time. It's so funny. But anyway, as I dove into that, it changed me on the inside, and changing me on the inside has to do what? Has to change the outside circumstances. So everything became a lot easier because of thank you. Those two words, that simple prayer, that powerful prayer that sets the tone for joy in your life, right? So it went from hopelessness and feeling defeated and feeling boxed in to learning how to take everything that came through life and say, "You know what? Thank you. I know that this is helping me some kind of way. I know that this is allowing me to see something in myself that's going to enable me to grow and to expand into who I truly want to be in this life, or who my heart desires me to be." So I say thank you. Thank you. And immediately a peace resonates over my entire being, because I'm no longer in judgment, right? When you're going through a lot of stuff, it's easy to judge it and say, "Stop," like, "Don't come anymore," as opposed to say, "I accept the gift. Thank you. I'll take the gift into account, and I'll stop and I'll see what the gift is truly attempting to tell me about myself and about my life. So thank you." And from there, great African proverb, Les Brown, "When there is no enemy within, the enemy without can do you no harm." But let me change that around a bit. When there is no enemy within, there is no enemy without, right? There's only an enemy within when we choose to tack on to that enemy. And the enemy comes out to be things like judgment, like doubt, like self-doubt, like struggle, like all these things that kill our self-confidence, kill our self-love. That's the enemy, right? But when you begin to say thank you, you basically wipe all that stuff out, and joy can fill your soul. Joy can fill your entire being, guys, right? And it all comes down to saying thank you. Okay. So that's the first point. It brings a lot of joy into your life. Okay. And that's what we want. Joy is just that feeling of knowing that you're taken care of, knowing that everything is working out, knowing that you can trust the God in you and the divine and the spirits and the guides and the angels to help you to live your very best life. That is what joy is. And that's available to you every single moment of each and every day if you choose to tap into it. And thank you is a powerful way to tap into that. Okay, so we're going to move on to number 2. Okay, so we got 3 here set up for you to show you the magnitude of thank you. And so they all kind of tie into each other, but it's cool because you can touch on different aspects. Thank you creates an energy that expands in a loving way. Okay, so let's really dive into how thank you is tied into love. You remember a few moments ago, I talked about acceptance, and instead of rejecting and instead of judging, we accept the truth of what is. That is love in its purest form. That is truth. That is joy in its purest form, right? Because if you're accepting, and I'm not saying like, having something slap you all over the face and you say, all right, thank you. No, I'm saying that you're able to stop, observe, really see the truth of a situation. I always say, Father, show me the truth in this situation, not what it appears to be, but the truth. You move into the process of completely stopping all the seemingly bad stuff to accepting the lesson or the blessing, which is actually both. It's both a blessing, but sometimes it starts out as a lesson and then you can process it, right? And that's love, right? That's love. Like your spouse or your kid does something that initially causes a charge within you. The first thing you have to do is sit with that charge and try to see what is it trying to teach you. And once you get that, thank you. Just say thank you for it. Just say, I am supremely grateful for what is happening right now. It can be in the midst of anger. I'm talking about the type of anger that makes your body shake like this and makes your heart beat so fast and makes your hand shake and all that stuff. And what I'll do is get away, because I always have to get away from the situation, because anger is one of those things. It's like letting the lion out of the cage and he hadn't eaten in 6 months. You've got to move away from the situation. But I'll move away from the situation and I'll say, even in the midst of it, I don't know how, but thank you for the lesson that's going to provide me with what I need to know about this situation. And sure enough, anytime that emotion is present, there is something stirring beneath the surface that we need to deal with, that we need to allow ourselves to process and feel in its entirety. Okay. So while I'm doing that, I focus on thank you, right? Because I want love to expand in my life. I want to be able to see people's perspectives without being charged up and wanting to Terry Tate them. If you remember who that is, the guy from the Reebok commercial who was an ex-linebacker who would just tackle everybody because, he was so angry. But it kind of feels like you want to do that sometimes. But in actuality, you have to step back and understand, okay, if I inject gratitude into this, the truth is going to be revealed to me. The truth is going to be revealed. And what I realize, and this is something that's so valuable about how the universe is set up, and I really, really want you to know this because it's so important, because it can help you to truly understand that the divine, the universe, everything is really working in your favor. So when your life is seriously jacked up, okay, when your life is a hot mess, the universe is still working in a loving way. It's still expanding within you in a loving way. And it's doing that without you saying anything, because the main objective, the primary objective of the universe is to always return you to a place of love, in alignment with love. And once you get out, it's working itself back to moving you in that place. And there's nothing that we have to do to make that process happen. It just naturally does that, because the universe is a loving universe. Although impersonal, it's still loving, because it knows that love is the ultimate harmony. And how do we can expedite this process by just saying thank you, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And once again, it helps, yes, to say it on the surface level, but go deeper. When you say thank you, say the type of thank yous that come from the heart, that resonate with the heart's energy, because those amplify the gratitude that comes from behind it. Okay, so that's number 2. Thank you creates an energy that expands in a loving way. Don't ever doubt it. Don't ever underestimate what it can do for you in that capacity, because as you can see right now, number 3, thank you basically tells us the victory has already been won. Now, if you look through the scripture, you'll see a number of times where God has said, I have declared victory over you. Jesus is the author and finisher of our faith, and things of the sort. And all that means is that the game has already been set up for you to win, right? It just already has. Even like in oftentimes in the beginning, religion would have us think that we had to earn God's respect. We had to earn God's love. We had to earn God's, acceptance. It doesn't work that way. The fact that he chose you as a being to come into this life as him, that tells you that you're already accepted. That tells you that you're already loved. It's important to get rid of all the guilt complexes of thinking, I may never measure up to God. Saying, no, you already measure up, because you're here. You're right now listening to this. You measure up, which means victory is there for you. Victory has been won. All you have to do is move into it and get your trophy. You know how those little kids get the participation trophies, just for showing up and practicing and playing in the games. That's kind of what it is, but a little bit of a greater magnitude, but it works that way. You showed up to life today. So guess what? You won, right? You won. So you have to receive the reward, and the reward there, right? When we put thank you into that, the reward is joy. The reward is peace. The reward is love. The reward is happiness. The reward is abundance in so many forms available each and every moment, right? So this is something that, when adopted with a deep feeling and a deep conviction, has so much power to permeate into every single area of your life. If you could wake up each day and say, and then throughout the day, say, thank you that the victory has already been won. Thank you that my life is pure victory. Thank you that my life is moving in the direction that I can be happy and proud about. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you focus on that. That has to resonate by universal law. It has to resonate through your life, through everything that you come into contact with. I draw your attention back to yesterday when we're talking. I was telling you about Neville Goddard as far as imagination goes. And I love this concept, because it basically enlightens you to the power that you have as a spiritual being having a human experience. And he said, the universe is not alive until we decide, until we lay our eyes on everything, until we start to perceive what's around us. Other than that, it's not alive. It's alive within us the entire time, but it's not alive until we begin to observe everything that unfolds. And that is just happening within our consciousness. So whatever is happening in front of you is happening inside of you, right? So when you know that you have that much power, why not just set it up in your favor, right? Why not just say, okay, I understand I've won the victory. Show me how to walk in victory, as we used to say in church growing up. Show me how to walk that path. Divine intelligence revealed to me the path of victory for my life. Divine intelligence revealed to me the path of love for my life. And then from there, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So here's what I want to do before we get ready to wrap it up today is I want you, there's times when all you can say is thank you. But there's times when you can get into what we call a mystic minute or a 5-minute mystic session where you just get into this state of silence. And in the beginning, to really direct the energy to your heart, you can touch your chest just like that. And you can allow that energy to just resonate, and you sit and you breathe with it. Now with COVID, it might be kind of hard to breathe with the mask on. So make sure you're not necessarily in public, but take a few minutes. I even do this sometimes at the stoplight when I'm driving, but also still being alert. I just get silent and quiet, and I'll say thank you to myself for everything. And then I'll get specific, and I'll go down the line, and it just helps to continually keep you in a state of ever-present divine joy. And it's important to do this. And sometimes you won't always have 5 minutes. Sometimes you have 30 seconds. Sometimes you have 10 seconds. But connect with the heart first, right? Connect with the heart first, and then go into thank you. Okay. I forget who the author is, but they basically said that if you never said another prayer in your life, thank you would be the very best prayer that you could say. And I believe that entirely because, you can feel it when you say that. So think about that and practice that throughout the day, whether you're in the office, whether you're out walking, whether you're at the traffic lights and stuff like that. Just really begin to implement stopping for a bit or connecting to the heart and saying thank you from there. All right. So with that being said, guys, if you have any type of prayer you would like me to pray over, or if you need some advice or anything like that, just give me a shout out here at my email, ShaunG04@gmail.com. We're very, very happy and excited to help you out in any way that we can. And so, it's just a matter of understanding that option is available, and I will get to it as soon as I can, giving you a prayer, standing in agreement for your divine solutions and everything, because there is a divine solution in every single thing that you may face. And you can be thankful in knowing that you can come out victorious. So send anything you have to that email, and I will get to it as soon as I can. And then wrapping up here, in the event that you have found this information beneficial, in the event that you find that this information, these messages are transforming your life, these messages are giving you new life and new perspective, guys, feel free to donate today at Venmo, Heart of Christ Ministry, PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com. Let the energy of love transfer itself to this ministry and continue to allow us to expand, because ultimately it's the expansion and growth of reaching more and more people that empowers, inspires, and uplifts them to a place that they've never thought they possibly could be beforehand. And that is so important. That is what money can do to a ministry like this. That's what money can do for everything. It gives you resources. It gives you the opportunity to think about more outlets to expand. And I want to tell you right now, thank you in advance. I appreciate you taking the time. And just remember, every dollar, every five, every 10, every 100, every 500, every 1,000, it all counts, right? Never think that just because you have a small amount that it doesn't count. I sat in church one day and gave 50 cents out of the 4 quarters that I had in my pocket, right? And then I received an $800 check. Not that it's about getting anything, but because I was generous enough to give to something, to more importantly, give to the work of the divine, I was rewarded for that faith, right? So if it resonates in your heart, give. But it has to resonate first and foremost. I want you to know that if it's not in love, it doesn't work. But if it's in love, I promise you, it will make a difference in your life and you'll just feel better about it. And I'm telling you, like I say this all the time, but I'm so happy about it. The vision for this ministry is just so dynamic and so huge. And I'm just happy to be able to bring this every day or whenever I get the chance, whenever the Spirit beckons me. So with that being said, thank you so much for that in advance. And I think that wraps up our message for today, ladies and gentlemen. Greatly appreciate you being here. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to listen. Share this video, comment, whatever it is to help people to feel better, to be more empowered, especially during a time like this. Mental health, it's just as important as anything else. And if you don't have that, if you're not encouraged, if you're not uplifted, you can kind of fall victim to being depressed or just not feeling your best. And we don't want that. We want you to be 100% on point as much as you possibly can. And with that being said, guys, signing off, Heart of Christ Ministry. Thank you so much. Take care. We'll talk soon.